few times on our show. And we need to tell this story. We need someone to say this, so they can search for it and find it instead of just scrubbing through a whole bunch of footage. So,
okay.
Simple instructions. They can save the world. You never know. There's intelligence in that kind of stuff.
I love that instruction.
Yeah,
I had enough of this.
Well, because we could use somebody to do this for your business.
Oh,
That's what I was getting at. I mean, there's a lot of talking going on, and someone needs to be writing it down. Don't you think, Link?
I mean,
it never occurred to me. I remember being confused about my dad's job. We lived up here in California when I was a kid. At the time, Sajak was a weather. Before Wheel of Fortune, early 80s.
All right.
So, Sam, meteorological loophole. Kim B asked about something that important here. I gotta call you out on that.
Okay, there you go.
I was watching Pat Sajak look at the weather one day and being 100% convinced that it was my fault.
Well,
Maybe.
Did you feel it in your heart?
I was like 4 years old. I remember thinking, Mom, actually saying, Mom, Dad's on television. Dad's doing the weather. And I was totally convinced that it was him. It was Pat Sajak.
Or maybe it's Pat Sajak because your mom
let me know how you get on.
He's not the father you have.
Yeah. She got this really guilty look.
Yeah.
Well, that might explain a lot. He's a very short man, which makes this highly unlikely, right? That's true. Okay, so, and your sisters, how much younger than you?
I have two sisters. An older one who's 3 years older than me, and a younger one who's 11 years younger than me.
Okay, so when you were a kid, it was you and your older sister and your mom. 3 women against the world. So, I mean, tell us about that.
What's up?
Well, I really liked books a lot. I think that, like, you know, when you have a single mom, you don't really, like, got a lot to do. So, fortunately, though, the house was, like, filled with books. So I would read a lot of books.
Would you transcribe?
Would I transcribe?
Okay, I see you. That's a cool car. And check out this King Tiny. Turns out the cops weren't into it when we broke him out before, and they got him right back there on charges of jailbreak. So I figure we use the same strat. Hell, it worked last time. And he's gonna tip us off to another gangster's tricked out ride. Yusuf's gonna freak.
Encyclopedia. But your mom worked nice. So was she like sleeping during the day? Was it like?
No, she was out usually.
You need
some time out. But I would. I also. Yeah, I like to read a lot. And I also like to, bookworm, and I also like to take a lot of walks. I like to, like, walk around the neighborhood, like, make up adventures.
We're talking grade school, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, just like that sort of thing. One time, me and my friends climbed to the elementary school, and we threw rocks at cars that were driving by. And only as an adult do I realize how truly dangerous and stupid that was. But at the time, I was like, it was fun. One time...
I'm going to stop you there because we did exactly this. In fact, I told this story on Good Mythical Morning, but the last time I was spanked, when you were 13.
So I know a guy who knows a guy at the mask shop in Vespucci. Thought the connect would come in handy for a part.
But then, 14? I was 14, and
You're a tall guy. How tall were you at 14?
Hey, what's up?
I was 6'4".
And
my dad was
sounds horrible.
Like that. It's convenient because all he had to do was take a bit of the back of the couch. And Link and I got called throwing rocks at cars on top of the business school. Long story, we got called by
no
Leonard
doubt.
Johnson
Later.
Business School.
That jerk.
Who told
your brother about the suits later in life.
He told the security, campus security about that. He told my dad, and my dad called me. He's like, so what are you gonna do?
Didn't even have you cut a switch or anything?
No. Belt. And he was like, no, we don't do this anymore, but I had no choice. And I have no choice. Right there on the keys. I remember the rocks. I think for the record, you probably did have a choice.
But, oh, sorry, guys. I just,
who is that? You can take that. That's fine. Might be Pat Sajak.
Right, just don't want to be like, my son!
Okay, so I mean, it's a common thing apparently. Lots of kids do it, throw rocks at cars. Everybody has to have that experience.
Yeah.
But did you get punished?
No.
You didn't get spanked?
No, not really. I felt guilty. I felt terrible. One of the rocks went through a window at the school when school started again. And remember, this was second grade? First or second? This second grade, maybe.
Oh, you weren't 14.
No. But, that's something I'll never forget. No, but
Did you get spanked? Did you get in trouble?
Yeah, I mean, but not for stuff like that, just other things.
Oh, you got spanked as a child too.
Yeah, but you know. But so I remember though, I felt so bad about throwing the rock through the window, or the rock hitting the window, that when school started, everybody's like, "Oh my God, rock window!" Blah, blah. I remember going to my teacher and just being like, and she was like, "No, I did it again."
Oh gosh.
She was like, "Hannah, please, like, it wasn't you. I appreciate you trying to cover for your friend, but I know it wasn't you. I just know you." And I was like, "This is the worst feeling." I mean, like, how do you go? Like, anyway, so
You confessed, and
it was rejected.
that can't be you.
It's not you. And then you're like, "Wait, who am I?"
So you had a reputation as being a good kid.
Good to see
Yeah.
you
And you were a kid that would, you felt guilty and you would confess something like that.
I had a good heart.
So that characterized your youth.
Yeah,
It
probably.
wasn't one of rebellion and testing the limits.
Definitely not a rebellious child. I was definitely a, I mean, like, I would, like, help out the janitor after school and stuff. Like, I just wanted to, like, do stuff. I just like
New
people.
look is going
I
down
really,
well.
I just really like being with people. You know? I think people are interesting.
Did you help the janitor put the sawdust on the vomit?
From kids? Puking?
They did that all the time in our school.
Yeah.
Sawdust?
That's stuff.
Every other day there would be a pile of sawdust out there. Yeah,
It sucks it out.
You were 14 when last time you puked. Sawdust got used to clean up.
Mr. Leon was our janitor, and he would sawdust all kinds of stuff, but especially vomit. Why didn't he just clean it up?
Or Mr. Leon only had one. And we never helped him out. You make me feel bad. I've never helped him clean up vomit. The guy,
He had two hands when he started. You know what happened?
Are you serious?
You don't know the story about Mr. Leon? Mr. Leon, he was vomit. No, Mr. Leon was
Putting woods in the wood chipper.
he was changing the bulbs, the footlights on the school stage, in the auditorium. He was changing the footlights, and one broke or one was hot or something. He got burned. It was a very mild thing. He did not get it checked out. It got infected, and they cut his head off. This was like 5th grade, man, because we had a two-handed janitor, and then he became a one-handed janitor. They never slowed down.
By the way, that seems like a little rash.
well, you mean it was
To
an
lose a
overreaction?
hand? No, it was a bad infection. It was like, he didn't get it. Kids, if you get an infection, get it taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
That's the moral of that story. If
Yeah.
you vomit, throw sawdust on it.
Also,
you can find any.
it turns out when people tell you to air out a wound, don't.
This
Keep
is
it
true.
covered. It'll heal faster.
That's right.
We've established
We learned that recently.
Yeah, I told him not to wear the Band-Aid. Turns out he's right. Look at it now. Look at that.
Yeah, but aren't scars kind of cool? Like when stuff scars, you're like, that's cool. That's cool.
I don't see any scars on you.
I have one right here on my hand. I got one on my knee. I got one in this ear.
In the ear.
Mm-hmm. I just ran into a table when I was really little. Just like the corner of a table. I was just so excited. I was also very excited as a kid. I'm still a very excited adult. And I just hit the corner. It was the first time I ever got stitches, and I totally fainted. 100%.
Well, just the thought of it makes me want to faint.
Isn't that awful?
Oh, yeah. An ear wound?
And you're rude.
On ear biscuits. Yeah. Blood on the biscuit. I'm not interested in that.
Oh.
So give us some more formidable the right word. That's what formative points in your life. We're talking like grade school, middle school, high school years. You know, we're still pre-Berkeley.
Oh, yeah. Well, my dad is a preacher. And we saw him.
Your real dad? Or your stepdad?
My real dad.
Okay, so your mom and your dad, they divorced before you were born. And he's a preacher. What type of preacher are we talking?
Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witness? Wow. So he doesn't celebrate birthdays. Why not? I don't.
The idea.
I made a comment on a Good Mythical Morning, and then I got reprimanded by people who said I should know, and so school me.
Well, from what I recall, the idea is that it's kind of like, I always was very confused by this because I was like, if we're God's creatures or as God's creatures, isn't the celebration of the birth one of the most sacred things? But John the Baptist got his head cut off as a birthday present, so the witnesses have taken that to be like celebration of birthdays is bad.
Well, I follow the logic there. Yeah,
I mean, everybody's got their thing. Just be good. Just be nice people. Practice whatever religion.
So, what was your relationship like with your dad? Did you have visitation growing up?
Mhm.
What was the arrangement?
Yeah, we had visitation. Saw him, I guess, like 4 days. We saw him like 4 days a month and 2 weeks in the summer. And he, I don't know, was always like.
Okay, we're attempting some discretion here and pretending we're the Postal Service. Got it? Okay, the product's loaded and ready for delivery.
Like 6 church things a weekend. Now we're going door to door, and then going door to door. We're gonna go to church barbecue, and that's what I'm doing now. It's actually not called church; it's called the Kingdom Hall. And then
windows. There's a few windows.
Yeah,
very small.
Yeah, very small. Exactly. It's called the Kingdom Hall, not a church, and they're called meetings, not services.
So this is, I mean, this being in the Jehovah's Witness family, this is quite a commitment. This is a big part of your life. So I would assume that at that time your mom was also a part of this, or was she just kind of saying, okay, well, your dad's doing this, and I'm just going to
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
and so when does not go to the Kingdom Hall anymore.
Yeah, she is just, very theological. She believes in, like, history, like all religion, spirituality, and Christianity. And she's got a lot of different beliefs. Very wide variety. But, yeah, I got no problem with doing this. Religion teaches all. My only logic is, like, just be, like, nice to each other, Just, like, I think that's what really matters. That's what Jesus would want.
What was your observation? Did you go to a church with your mom? What was your observation visiting your dad and, I guess, having a label of Jehovah's Witness and being an outsider there, what was your observation there and then growing up with your mom?
It just seemed so different. It just seemed so. And obviously, nothing to do with religion at large, but like it just felt very superficial. You know what I mean? Like my dad and his stepmom were them, and it was very like Deptford feeling with them. And like it was just a very interesting juxtaposition. Like they had everything, clean and yada yada yada, but it didn't feel like home. Where like home felt like sure it wasn't perfect, but it was yeah. I guess I'm for it. Yeah.
I guess I grew up as a young kid. I didn't grow up with my dad, so I had visitation with him every other weekend for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And religion wasn't that different between my mom and my dad. Both were church-going Christian people, but I can certainly relate to that part of it. This is going to see my dad was normal, but it's a different thing. When you're that young, it's just something you just kind of plug into.
And it would just be like, I just remember feeling so bummed out. Like, a friend was having a birthday party one weekend. Like, there was an opportunity to, like, see a movie or, like, go on a school trip. And, like, that opportunity became available, but it was a bad weekend. I was like, no.
Right.
Which is, like, not no fault of his, but I was always,
And there was a lot of, it sounds like there was a lot of religious obligations every time. We gotta dress this way, we gotta go.
We're waking up at like 5:30, 6 a.m. We're gonna go to this thing, like, brutal. Just like they have a thing called the district convention, which is like 12 hours of service, and it happens like 1 or 2 weekends a year. And I remember we had a dad who said on the district convention, I would lay awake for like knowing that it's coming. It's brutal. Imagine being a kid, and I now know why this is so like. Just so hard. Like having to go for me as a kid and sit still and just be preached at for 12 hours. I couldn't doodle. I couldn't even write my own like stories. I had to sit and literally just sit and listen and follow along the book. It was the most painful. Like, just, it was tough. It was so hard.
You just couldn't sit there and like snicker at each other, like looking at the mountain.
No snickering, no falling asleep. So you know that feeling where you're so understimulated that you're just like, you're like literally just pulling your eyes up to stay awake? No snickering, no falling asleep, no doing something else, like no coloring, no drawing, no anything, just listen. And it was,
And that was until what age?
17?
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So you and your sister,
Yeah.
did that draw the two of you closer, kind of?
Oh yeah, no, my big sister and I, you know, we're good. We're solid. Yeah, it was just like, I just would never do that to any child. Like, I barely believe in education the way we do it. I'm like, kids are going to get curious about things at different times in their life. Like, maybe this kid wants to learn math right now. Great, let them learn math. Later, they'll want to learn this, you know? Like, I think that we should really just, like, have structure but not control. It's like, okay, we're going to learn from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. But what you learn, what you're curious about is entirely up to you. You know, but you are going to be, like, progressing in some way. You know?
Right.
That is,
So did you have a reaction that at that age, you know, like, shut this whole religious thing?
no, I mean, like, you know, I think fortunately, like, my mom's opinion and openness, I guess, really saved my view of spirituality, view of people's relationships with God. You know, I think that if I only had the Jehovah's Witness perspective, I would 100% forget that. But because I also had my mom who's like, well, Judaism believes this, Buddhism believes this, you know, let's watch history of the Bible, like, oh, I got these great documentaries in the library, like, let's watch this, like, just a very, like, rich, multicultural experience with spirituality and God and what people believe. So that, yeah, made me feel to that.
Was that something that was developing, like, you know, as you were a teenager, you know, high school, and you're in this environment? Was it just like, I just don't know about this stuff that we're doing that seems like rote, seems like obligation? Were you kind of beginning to think that this, there's got to be something other than this, or was it after he left and was your mom having these influences and these ideas all along?
All along. I mean, I have no recollection of them being kids, you know?
Okay.
So, like, they were, like, I really don't want to remember them being together, but I, like, prayed every night as a kid. And I still take a moment before I eat, you know, and before I go to sleep to just be grateful, because I think that that's really important, you know? Like, those are still happening.
So what was high school like for you?
High school was, good. I got my first job, which I liked. I worked at ice cream. Yeah, and then
You were
also
a sample giver?
was a sample giver. I called FNC.
Soft serve?
Yeah.
Dip.
Yeah.
Was it the Baskin Robbins?
It was Preston's in Burlington, California, which is a locally, like, you know, small family. And I've been there forever, and it was great. And I also worked at the video store, and that was great.
Classic jobs.
Classic teenage jobs,
I never
right?
had a classic job.
What was your first teenage job?
It was cleaning out houses. I cleaned out houses. When the construction people get through building the house, when they get through, they have to use the foundation of the house as a trash can.
Oh,
And
really?
They send a kid underneath there to clean it all out and put plastic on it. And as I've already established, I'm a pretty big guy. So I'm already pretty big. I'm going to houses, worrying about snakes and like cups with redneck tobacco juice in them.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was my first job.
Ooh.
I think that was my first job. That was one of my high school jobs.
That's gross.
But I wasn't working with ice cream. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because it was expired and it was in a little container underneath the house. I'm those grants.
Yeah.
I would go back to that right now.
I'm not surprised by that, actually. I see you as somebody that would really enjoy just like the routine, order, structure. Yeah. Going through hair, trimmers, making sure.
Well, I had a right.
Well, I mean,
I remember that I have a memory of you riding on down the road like in one house. Is that true? Did that happen? Yeah, I did. I would drive the lawnmower across major streets to go to houses that I had to mow. Because it was easier than putting it on the trailer. But I know.
did you pick up a lot of chicks on the You're in one?
The ladies around village love the guy with the lawnmower, and then you keep up with the girls who just fell off the sidewalk and pursue the whole time.
That's a man with ambition. Take it down.
Okay, so
Take it down.
ice cream chillin video store.
Yeah, ice cream video store. I raised my little sister a bunch. I was a yearbook. I did the yearbook and newspaper and publication stuff.
Yeah, okay.
I thought I was going to be a journalist or a teacher. That's the majority of my life, and then I pursued translation.
So you were very plugged in, very involved.
Not with the school. I mean, like I was plugged in and involved into like, you know, it was easy. Everybody knew me, and so it was easy to get in and out of one. So it's like during journalism and doing yearbook, it was like I just walked in and be like, I need this picture. Thank you. And then like take care of my school.
So you thought you wanted to be a journalist.
I did, or a teacher.
And when you decided to go to Berkeley, was that to pursue that career?
Well, I went into college. It's actually really funny. I first didn't plan on going to college, and then was encouraged by my guys to go to college. So I applied to a bunch of schools. So Berkeley was like my future school. They were like, well, you should apply to Berkeley, you know, blah, blah, blah. I got rejected from every single school I applied to, except for Berkeley, who sent a letter. And for California Public School or California Public University, they don't do this, asking for 2 letters of recommendation. It was a 13 essay questionnaire. It was part of the Equal Opportunities Program. And I did it. And then I got into Berkeley, and I got...
So what was your equal opportunity?
Well,
You were a white girl.
yeah, but I grew up in poverty, and my mom...
So you left that part out. Your
Yeah.
mom was schizophrenic?
Yeah. So we actually... I got emancipated when I was like 15. My older sister was foster there.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was a good chunk of stuff that helped. You know, I had terrible grades, the great test results, terrible grades. Like, I mean, I wasn't even home.
My goodness, so you said you raised your sister literally meant that because
Yeah.
your mom was diagnosed and I mean, can you tell us more about that? How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I want to, like, I think at some point in my life, I'd like to speak, you know, at length about mental health stigma. With the illness like schizophrenia, it's a psychosis, so it's not like a sociopathic illness, which is like kind of like, you know, people do bad things, but like a psychotic illness, you know, as we describe people like, oh, that guy's psychotic. He's not actually psychotic. Like, that's a bad guy. Psychotic means like voices, images, hallucinations, like multiple realities. Like, that's psychotic, you know? So, yeah. What was the question?
You were raising, because your mom was struggling with this illness, you had to kind of step in and raise your sister, who was 11 years younger.
What led up to that point? I mean, what does that mean exactly? Did she have to go get treatment somewhere? How did that work?
You know, I think things would have been really different. She would, you know, there's a lot of people who are unmedicated, mentally ill.
So she was in the house, she was working, she was there, but she wasn't able to function as mom.
She wasn't able to do a lot of things. She wasn't able to do a lot of jobs. And she had like, you know, she had a guy that helped out with them and stuff, but she just got this popular, you know, so when like, you know, quirky and weird, things are weird, but I guess that's cool, like, it's different. And then as I got older and it was like, wow, we're not different, like something's wrong, you know. And I remember being 11 and my mom telling my sister and I she got pregnant, and I remember being how we could, like, how we gonna have a baby? And she had the baby, and that was like the best thing that happened to me. And I totally saved my life. I 100% like that kid that like does drugs and wants to go from home and like all that stuff, but Maggie was just a smiling, loving baby. You know, like all you have to do for a baby is love it, and it's like once you're back, and then they get older, like more responsibility. It was a good, pure thing.
So, how did your mom's illness kind of manifest itself that, I mean, you would see it manifest itself at a point where that's what you said when you found out she was pregnant. And that brought you to a point where your life without Maggie could have gone
off the deep end. That's what I guess.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that was when everything changed. It was probably when I was like 15 or 16, and my older sister ended up being going to college, and then, you know, like I said, it's an illness that gets worse with age. I just,
What was happening?
you know, just crazy stuff. So anyway, I just didn't want Maggie.
You cannot
I just couldn't picture Maggie being there alone. And then, like, the closer I got to 18, it's like, well, I think we're all just going to take her. Or, you know, next time the cops down. Actually, things are good, you know? So, yeah.
So there was a point at which you kind of, you saw the situation, you saw what was happening, and you sort of take control of it, and emancipate yourself, get that.
Listen,
Sure, into foster care.
Gotcha. Foster care, by the way, is a really fascinating system. There's a lot of like deep flawed parts of it. Maggie was in the state foster care system for only like 3 weeks before I had a good reputation, you know, in my hometown. Before I volunteered to adopt her or take her in, and then later in life they adopted her and she's been living there for the last, I don't know, 26. Yeah,
How
11
old
years.
is she at the time?
4.
Well,
So, yeah, but I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot of things that I want to do to help out with this stuff. Like, eventually, it's like, there's so many things that you can change to make things better, and this just turned out well. So it's like, I'd love to, like, either advocate for or start a foundation that kind of provides services to those who do foster care. And I'm not talking about monetary services, because I don't think that doesn't help. That doesn't work, because people are kids, like, checks. But, like, services like, you know, maybe they go and have their own counseling, you know, or they go and have their own job security training. You know what I mean? Give these people skills, give them, like, their shot at life, so that when they're fostering kids, it's almost like a shot for something good.
right. So your experience has gone through that and sort of given you the mission of sorts.
Yeah, I hope so.
And is this something that now that you are the Anna Hart that we all know, and you know the YouTube celebrity Anna Hart?
We love seeing animation content.
That's right.
Check it out, youtube.com and Helen with some really fast. I don't
You're
know.
figured out what the title is.
Yeah,
now.
no idea what the title is.
You said different things.
We did.
You did not.
I'm gonna have like 4 title cards. Everything's gonna be a freeze frame. No, it's not a title card. It's a title card.
You see this as, because obviously part of your brand is sort of, you know, doing some tour, but part of your brand is sort of giving back to people and bringing people together, and that's very evident. Like, I know you've done a lot of different gatherings in soup kitchens and volunteering for people. When did that become a part of your, like, identity and your brand?
Well, it didn't become a part of my identity until I got security because, you know, like, it was like the channel was doing well and I was successful and like I could support like my loved ones. And then I just felt like entertainment felt so hollow. So then it was like, wow, like actually I'm quite privileged now. Like I can do that. And I guess that's kind of what I tried to say with women and stuff like that. And arguably, by the way, like I'm not at all perfect. Like I don't go to the kitchen every week. Like I'm not, you know, I try and like throw money, but like, you know, I'm not like I'm not 100% on the time all the time. Blah 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 blah. I don't want to make myself out to be that way because, you know, I'm human. Blah blah. But I do think that one way of looking at donating, charity, volunteer work is to think that it's not a guilt, it's not an obligation, but it's more like a privilege, like you're lucky enough to.
You're able to give back.
Yeah, not like you're able, so you should. Like people push back against that so hard, but more like, hey, if you're sitting at home depressed, or if you're feeling like your life is empty, or blah 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 blah, like go outside for 2 hours, meet a bunch of strangers, and like sort hands or something. And it'll make you feel good. So if you need a selfish way to justify something, like not guilt way, like a selfish way, like go do it. It's gonna make you feel good.
Well, when we found out that you were doing your meetups at, you know, soup kitchens and shelters and that kind of thing, we thought back to the fact that we across the country did a bunch of meetups at rest stops.
I'm doing something right now.
I'm like, blow up a lot of shady activity.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
You guys brought a lot of positive energy into the rest stop.
But I'm glad I found it actually at a rest stop.
It was really hard though to get people to let us into. We went to food banks. We went to like PC kitchens, so we went to a bunch of food banks, because of the brand My Home Kitchen. People push back against that so hard.
Like,
yeah. Yeah, they're like, so what is my drunk kitchen girl? And like, we have the support of some major charitable organizations helping us get in touch with good people. But I can't actually say their names or be like front facing about their support because they as a public entity also can't be affiliated with my drunk kitchen. But I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. I get it. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So the work is still getting done. I was gonna ask, so how is Maggie? What's the update there?
She's great. 16, sassy, has a great Tumblr. She's feminist. She's great. Maggie's great. She's lovely. Yeah, she's just definitely 16. Sassy cat.
And what about your mom? Do you keep in touch? What happened there?
Yeah. She was homeless for a while, but then I was able to support her. So I just, she's got a place that she stays at, and we try to.
And then so going back to college, you went to Berkeley. Kind of, you made a decision that my life is going to continue on this trajectory.
Yeah, I mean, I really just like, I guess, honestly, before all this YouTube stuff, my number one focus is just job security. Money. I'm just trying to figure out.
So what were you thinking? What were you thinking in terms of like that?
Well, so I went in for communication, like, you know, I was like, perfect, marketing, business, something like that, and then I ended up doing literature because I felt like if you go after a pure business degree or a pure marketing degree, you're not gaining anything to bring to the table. So it seemed like literature or philosophy or history, like you're actually learning things that you can put in your brain to like make different connections to create things, you know? So I studied literature, and then I was like, well, that's not going to be enough. I should study an Asian language because Asian languages are big, and also being an interpreter, being a translator, that's not going to really disappear. But I did Japanese, was able to go to Japan, like I have been super blessed, like super, super duper blessed.
They dropped some Japanese science on us. Meaning
Science.
language. Drop the science. That's a bad terminology for like speak something awesome.
Miso one day, I need a new water.
Wow. And it tastes good. Is that what you just said? I was translating. It tastes something else.
It tastes good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you
It's
compliment
my
me?
party trick.
是在
リクさんはでもかっこいいだと思う。But you're like super cool.
No, just kidding. I saw you looking down.
You were asking me also. You were looking at my numbers. I was trying to have a mix. Like a birthday. Yeah.
So you became what? So you mastered the Japanese language.
I did not. I couldn't say master.
It just sounded like that. Sounded pretty awesome.
I could like right now I'm like conversational at best, you know.
Is there a little Tokyo here in town? There is not. Is there?
There is a little Tokyo. It's very little. It's like a mall.
Okay, so you don't like go there and like, hey, I gotta practice, y'all.
No, not really, because it's like
Japanese, of course.
I talk Swedish, you know.
Give us the
Do you want me to speak in YouTube? Subscribe to my channel.
So how did you go from studying and to translate to being a YouTuber?
I was living in New York. I had moved from San Francisco to New York. The company I was working for. I was doing proofreading at that company, which is like white collar, you know. I would have one patent document here, one patent document here. This English is the other language. You just have to kind of go through looking for errors, make sure it's sensitive. I mean, like anyone can use the languages I didn't speak of. German, just like make sure it says like slot A, slot B. Book A, book B. Or whatever.
That's Japanese.
That's Japanese.
That was German. That was German.
That's the German. Then my older sister Naomi bought me that laptop, the MacBook. It was a white, whatever generation, the first like white MacBook with a webcam.
And now we're in story territory. This is the one everyone gets to tell.
Yep,
I'm
this is
sure.
it. This is it.
But I've got to hear it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Don't just
For sure.
the white MacBook from my sister's story.
Yep, my sister bought me
But give
this.
us the juicy details that you don't get to like the journalists.
Okay, alright. So I was at her house sitting, and then I was video chatting with a friend back home because it was so cool to have video chat. It was 2011. And I don't know, I used to, you know, my friend missed me. I was like, I miss you, like, get drunk and cook, man. And I was like, dude, I'll do that for you right now. And she was like feeling love. So I was like, make your video. So I made her my joint kitchen.
So you ended the high chat, and then you said,
yeah, I said, hold on. So I like ended it, put up my movie, hit import some cameras, and then just recorded like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I'm a lightweight. I'm like a 3 grade front to this day. And then chopped it up on our movie and then put it up on YouTube and sent it to Kim, which is her name. And then
you put it on YouTube, public, but why would anyone see it?
who cares? What's
So you
YouTube?
legitimately used YouTube for what I think it was
Intended for.
intended for. Yeah, it was. Hey, I've got a video and I want you to see it.
Yep.
And this is how I'm gonna.
Yep. Exactly. So like I did that and I sent it to her and she, put it up on Facebook and all of her friends, all my friends, I said, you can play, share. I mean, it wasn't even that big of a quote-unquote viable video. It was like, maybe got to like a couple 100,000, 700,000. I actually don't know any idea. But I noticed like people were commenting, I was like, where's episode 2? This is my new favorite show on YouTube. Right, and I was like, what are they talking about? So then I went into the YouTube cable. It was like,
So you were not a YouTube consumer. Is that what you're saying? You didn't watch other YouTubers and aspire to be that. YouTube was not that to you.
the first time I heard of Epic Mealtime was in the comments of that video.
Okay.
But they're like, this bitch is ripping off Epic Mealtime. And I was like, what? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
They wanted episode 2, and then your response was
Like 3 weeks later, on a random day, I put up another one. A month after. I mean, I have no idea the period of time in between. Certainly wasn't on Pitbull.
But if we go back on your channel 5 months ago,
Yeah.
it's all right.
It's all right.
Sort by date. The first one is the first one.
Yeah, but I've changed the title, added, like, annotations like, thank you, and like, subscribe, and like all that stuff now. And it was originally called Metro Kitchen, but now it's called Metro Kitchen. Episode 1, Buddy.
Right. Yes. So you did 2 more.
I did get 2, and then 3 was supposed to be the last one. And then I just don't know what to tell. I just didn't tell. I don't know. It's just fun. It was like such an outlet. And then, it's like money started coming in into advertising, and then so I quit my translation job, and not because I was so lucrative, obviously not, but then I just got rid of my apartment, cut all my expenses, and couch surf, so I could just use all my money for the thing, put it towards. And then I just lived on couches for a while, and then family.
Which was when?
January 2012.
Okay.
Crazy. Change, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just passed 2 years. March 2013 was the 2nd year. Yeah. And the videos have like super improved. I know. Yeah. And it turned out pretty well. I just really liked it. I don't know. It's more than I'm so pleased, I feel like we should revisit for people.
Oh, we can do that. Now, alright, so let's get into this. Your sexuality is a big part of your brand.
Yeah, like talking about nipples.
Talking about heterosexual.
No, thanks, I'm sorry. I prefer the sensual.
Juicing is for winners, friend. So what's wrong?
You saw that?
I should.
So think about it.
I know.
So you okay, so there was a point at which you decided to be open about your sexuality on your channel. And I don't remember all the details of the videos, but I did watch those. I heard you
Really good. Actually, coming out chapter 1 video.
right, yeah, so there was chapters in this.
I still post chapters on Marriage Path. I'm coming out chapter 5 marriage, and I was like, I just talk about my personal needs.
And so I remember one of the things, I'm making this from paraphrasing here, but it was, you said something to the effect of, I never really felt the need to come out. This isn't some big deal that I feel like I need to come out and confess to you guys that I'm a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like, I kind of feel like maybe that I have a responsibility to do that, so I'll do it. Maybe it'll.
Yeah, you remember when Anderson Cooper came out? And everybody, like, it's weird.
I think it was on episode 2 of the
Damn!
You really hosted that, right?
No way, really?
Motherfucker!
Competition show for Mold.
Shit!
Really?
You got cylinders!
Big gate.
I had no idea.
Here I go!
But no one remembers. His hair was black at the time,
No. Are you? Is this all true?
Everything is people saying it's a series, and him coming out on.
And also the name of the show was Not the Mole, was the Hole. No, so yeah, if you remember when Anderson Cooper came out, you know, he was just like, guys, it's not like I was hiding it. It's just not, like, my job is to be, like, gay news guy. It's just news guy, you know what I mean? And so, like, that's kind of the way I feel about it, you know, sexuality in general. It's changing a little bit as I feel more and more responsible for the LGBT community, because I happen to be gay, I am inherently a role model, since role models are so few and far between, because there's not so it's like out and like pride and stuff like that, but like in terms of my personality, I've never felt like, I mean, since coming to the crippling realization that I was gay, which was
This ain't right.
Yeah, I want to go into
not a plan.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a pen. Push a pen.
An unfurled paper clip.
Can you give us the whole backstory? Just, I mean, any way you want to, just in terms of the sexual backstory. Because I do think that there's I am very interested about you being a role model, being somebody.
First, let's hear the story. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I was in college, sophomore year of college, and I was in class, and this girl behind me, you know, was just like complimenting on my jacket, and I was like, oh yeah, thanks. And then we became like best friends. She was great, you know, is great. She's married. And I just realized like 3 weeks in, I was like, oh my god, this girl. And like, given also, by the way, like I had boyfriends in high school. I always just attributed, you know, due to the circumstances of my life, I was like, I'm not really not being able to fall in love with people. Maybe that's like a weird emotional thing I've got, like a block. I'm not able to fall in love because I've never fallen in love, and like I don't really like any of my boyfriends. I mean, they're great friends and they're really attractive guys. Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And I'm so confused. And obviously, homosexuality was not accepted in either of my households. Either of them. You know, not even one of them. My dad's dad, my grandpa is gay, the white gay. And so I think that's another big thing that's like super, like, big deal for my dad.
Did you always know that? Or
We
did you
found
find out?
out like I was like 9, and then it was like he had like 2 wives and like 6 kids or 5 kids, and he really, you know, tried to do it, and then just finally he was like 65, and he's like, guys, I'm gay, I'm sorry, I'm just gay, I'm sorry.
I had 2 wives.
I know, yeah, I tried so hard, you know. So anyway, I just always thought that I just couldn't fall in love, that sort of thing. And I actually remember spring of my freshman year, fall of my sophomore year, praying, like, you know, and I would go to like Christian campus events, and I remember praying, being like, what if I'll find somebody to fall in love with, and I have that experience, and I feel like. And then sophomore year, spring, or fall, just prayed for that and wanted to love. Sophomore year, first day of the semester. Very nice. And then
The girl that
the jacket. Yeah, and then, you know, super close friends. And then, you know, at that point I had gay friends for the first time in my life. And, met this girl. And it was always kind of joke, like, always just like, you know, secretly gay, It does not. So anyway, long story short, I was kind of like, maybe I have to pressure her. You know what? I'm gonna nip it in the bud. I'm just gonna tell her. And then she's gonna be like, ew, gross, get away from me, whatever. And she's gonna have to think that thought or have to do something. I told her, she was like, oh, yeah, but it's, you know, honestly, my entire first relationship fell in love with the first time. Whole thing. Got my heart broken. Went back to dating guys immediately after that because I was like, well, I'm not gay. It was just kind of, no, I'm not gay. There's no way. No. I really when you're raised in a homophobic household, it's really great because like gay people are like this other thing. And so I'm like, well, I can't be gay because I'm not an other thing. I'm me. I'm still 100% me. You know? And so like to have that thought, I just didn't want it to be true because I felt like if I was gay, it would somehow change who I am. And then obviously, I made myself reflection on that Thursday moment. Truly, that thing I had most kids who live all across the country. You can get that. You don't have to be the world and still feel so much love. You know? And I think that it also got preached to me in a very only needs to know very, very not. I mean, yeah, once you like fall in love with this person, you know, it was just so bad. I really tried.
At this time, when you're struggling with this stuff, or relationship with your mom and dad, especially but it's not this thing that is it this okay, there's something that has sort of been for you personally, you're not struggling with it, it's like, I don't want to have to tell my parents about this, that's like parents think of me having value or
It's still like you know, I think that the sad truth is that regardless of how your parents were able to or were not able to take care of you, there is something inherent that makes you love your parents. Love them, regardless of yeah, 100%. You know, obviously my mom's a mom. It was like you know. And my dad, you know, I told him when I was you know,
Look at that. All deliveries received. Now let's just hope they know how to use them, right?
I was more like, I'm going to tell you this now. You know, it's more for me, you know? And then, his dad was,
you just what did you say? Fight?
well, I immediately burst into tears, just because I just felt, and kind of, again, you know what I mean? And it was really, really hard. And then it was interesting, though, because, you know, he used the word choice, which a lot of me is, like, you're going to choose to do this. And I was like, Dad, like, your dad's gay. Like, it's not my choice who I fall in love with. And he said, it is your choice. And he said, it is your choice whether or not to fall in love. So that's it. Even if you're a homosexual. It's like, cool, you're gay. It's genetic. I get it. I accept that. Don't ever act on it. Don't ever fall in love with somebody. Just be single because that's the choice in his mind. And I was like, that's
I mean,
What's up, pal?
I mean, but you even that had to have been crushing some level.
I'll be keeping my eye on you. Goodbye.
just totally clear you are.
No, and the girl, your first girlfriend, you said that she's not gay.
I don't know. I mean, like, it's not like I can't label anybody, but she definitely, you know, went back to the life that she felt more comfortable in. You know, I mean, it's unfortunately such a huge deal, but like, microscopically, like, sitting on the couch arguing about dishes, making dinner, falling asleep, doing chores, like, life level, real life level, not a deal at all. But the way, I mean, some people, like, you get looked at on the street, like, all that other stuff really bleeds into some people's hearts, the way they're perceived. And for me, I've never really been worried about the outside world. I'm like, outside world, I get it. I have always just really wanted the happy inside world. Like, coming home and, like, having somebody be there, being like, hey, you know, I made dinner.
Hey.
FYI, also I did the laundry. It's like, that's all I ever wanted my whole life. You know what I mean? Makes everything worth it. But for some people who grew up with that, I think that having the, you know, paranoia of, like, do you think the waitress is being rude to us because we're here together? That stuff, some people just can't get past.
So how did you find that inner voice after going back to boyfriends? You were still in the fighting phase at this point.
You know, just lots of, like, laying awake at night. Myself would be some people just can't get past.
So after going back to boyfriends, you were
how
still
did
in the fighting phase at this point.
You know, just lots of, like, laying awake at night.
A long ass day. I need a vacation.
You know, I would play all these games with myself. It'd be like walking down the street and see a guy and see a girl who I would, you know, be like, hey, let's say they're about regular attractive. Or just see a random guy and see a random girl. I'm like, quick, like, who do you want to have sex with? You know, and like trying to force an answer to that. And it's like, why don't I have sex with you guys? Because we're strangers. Why don't I have sex with
Which, by the way, we should develop that game show.
Yeah, quick.
Who do you want to have sex with?
Right. But like people
Then the door's closed.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, too late, I don't get to have sex at all. No! There's a guy diving under a door. Not kidding, there's a new show in England called The Sex Box, where people go into a box, have sex, and then they come out and they're interviewed by a panel of sex experts.
Experts?
Yeah.
Shut up.
I'm not making this up.
They stole our idea before we.
But I think who you want to have sex with is a better idea. This is between the three of us.
Or sex bots. It's an app now. Instead of sex box. Sex bots.
Oh, are we brainstorming now?
I don't know, you
Let's
know.
just go back to your story.
Okay. Yeah, so I like do all these mind games which a lot of people struggling with their identity, sexuality, do to try and like trick yourself into an answer, trick yourself out of being gay, blah, blah, blah. Just it's emotional maturity. It just comes with time. It comes with like life. And you know, I would get drunk at a party and end up accidentally making it trouble. Or like I'd be at a party and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm here with this guy who I like. I'm just gonna sit and talk to this girl on the couch for like the whole time, and like he and I would leave the party and like go make out in his car, and I would just be like, she was so great. Hannah, shut up! You're making out with this guy in the car. Like, focus, you know, get back to the center. So eventually you just get tired of it, and you just, you know, start to do the personal work to kind of undo the knots.
What was that moment for you that eventually I'm now tired of this?
I couldn't pinpoint it.
Was it in college?
Yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, and it's hard to say. It's a real amorphous journey now looking back at it. You know, there was no other moment. The significant moments I remember were kissing her for the first time, going back to dating guys and feeling like that wasn't working, and then just kind of step by step, just, you know, one day at a time, kind of accepting it. You know, sometimes I would tell people, oh yeah, I'm dead, there's a stranger I'm never gonna see again. Well, I'm dead. Just like play with it and see how it felt.
Okay, so there wasn't just like, okay, now is when I'm going to come out of the closet and just publicly identify myself. It's like, I'm going to try it on this person, see how they react.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people who I never, ever told. And if they watch YouTube or listen to Ear Biscuits, then now they know.
Oh, they did.
Oh, they do.
They probably found out on YouTube before Ear Biscuits.
I don't know. Ear Biscuits is like a real big deal.
So, was there a lot of chatter in the comments of your videos before you made a definitive announcement?
I'm not honestly like non-factor,
comedy's not about gay or straight. It's about comedy.
But people in comments have a way of doing that.
I mean, like in my first video, people were like, she looks like Justin Bieber. Does she have? But like, you know, it's always like, does she have a boyfriend? Does she have a girlfriend? She's hot. She's not hot. It's all the same stuff.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, and then the coming out video, like, there was just a lot of like, I had no idea. And I was like, oh, but then I'm like, well, who's to say? You know, like, hipsters look gay, kind of. You know. Yeah. I feel bad though when people talk about their coming out stories. I feel responsible. You know, I get letters from people all the time. How I live in and out. I met a 30-year-old woman who recently heterosexual, been out 6 weeks ago, married, whole thing. And I was like, wow. And then my instinct.
How did you met her in person?
Yeah, just we fan. Nothing. My instinct is still because of the way I was raised. Are you sure? Because maybe you're not. I mean, like, do you really want to do this? How is your family perfect? You know? But yeah, no.
So, and I think this is interesting because there's obviously gay celebrities who people, the gay community may look at as looking to speak on our behalf, or but it's so different. You know, take gay out for a second and just talk about the difference between traditional celebrity and a music celebrity. There's obviously a much stronger connection
The
between your
inside
fans.
track is open,
You know,
and the excitement is
traditional celebrity
addictive.
isn't
Pick
sitting
your
around and reading their fan mail and feeling responsible for something.
Yeah.